This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by Liquid IV. Summer is nearly here, and with temperatures rising, you need hydration that keeps up with every moment. And a single stick of Liquid IV makes ordinary hydration extraordinary.
With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness, 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you faster than water alone.
So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we are talking last night's Dynamite on the road to the last stop on Wednesdays, anyways, to AEW Dynasty. We're going to be doing that pay-per-view watch-along this coming weekend on Sunday. Which do you prefer? I forget. What? Sundays or Saturday pay-per-view?
Oh, Saturdays.
You prefer the Saturday one.
Ideally, the Saturday, late morning.
Late morning. The morning ones I always like better. Yeah.
Because then we're done by 3, get the rest of my day.
Well, we got at least one of these WWE two. I think.
We got several coming up that are earlier in the day. Like AEW ones are just so long, so we're generally not done till 10:30 or 11.
You know what
after
though?
The recap.
Like lately, because we haven't been doing the pre-show, they've been a lot more manageable.
It has been
a lot better.
It has.
Yeah,
been.
And this is a stacked card coming up. We're going to talk about how what they left us with on Dynamite with Dynasty coming up. I know there's some more. There's Collision and there's Rampage, is like a big 3-hour thing, but I don't know how much story or go home math we're going to get on that stuff. So we're going to talk about all that later on today. Our predictions are going to be going up for Dynasty.
I just gotta upload them. Yeah, they're all done.
And that's going to be going up over at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel, so be sure to check that out. We also have some news about Tony Khan's reaction when he was asked about what his reaction was to the fan response of this all-in footage. And his answer is quite telling. But before that, Larson, the Vince McMahon era is over. And by over, I don't mean the wrestling term where it's popular. The Vince McMahon era is done with. And we've got the latest on what he's been up to and how we know for sure this is it. It's done.
Yeah. So, of course, the narrative being pushed by WWE all WrestleMania weekend and ever since then is now that Vince is out and Triple H is running things, we're in a new era of WWE. So, CNBC has a report about WWE's new era and what Vince has been doing since he stepped down as chairman of the TKO board, following allegations by former WWE employee Janelle Grant. One insider, among the 11 people familiar with Vince WWE that NBC/CNBC talked to for the story, described Vince putting his remaining shares of TKO potentially up for sale as a sign that, quote, this time it's like, okay, now it's over. Multiple sources say that Vince hadn't had any contact with company leaders and figureheads since he resigned, and that Vince, quote, hasn't talked to his son-in-law, WWE creative chief and former superstar Paul Triple H Levesque, or daughter Stephanie McMahon Levesque regarding company matters. The story does state, though, that Vince has, quote, been in touch with John Cena and The Rock since stepping away.
Final boss.
Yeah, so according to the story, sources indicate that Vince seems largely unconcerned about the legal and civil issues that he is currently, or in the case of criminal charges, could be dealing with in the future, with one source stating, quote, if anything, he's enjoying life, noting that Vince has taken a trip to Italy, and added that upon returning from a trip to the Turks and Caicos Islands, he brought with him, quote, 7 kittens and a puppy, all of which he brought back to be adopted by his friends. One person close to Vince indicated to NBC that Vince believes that, quote, officials won't bring any charges against him and that Grant's civil case will be settled out of court.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just like whatever his yes men are saying that. Oh, he's super happy right now that he's been publicly humiliated. His, gross, asinine, private life is on display for the world to see, and he's been, ripped away from the thing that he loves the most, and there's a wide public celebration over that fact. Sure, I'm sure he's enjoying life quite a bit. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who'd be too happy about all that stuff, regardless of whether or not he's stealing kittens from Europe or not. That's maybe my just hope.
I believe the Turks and Caicos are in the Caribbean, Steve. But otherwise, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. So, yeah. What continent is Turkey considered? That's not Eastern Europe?
Turkey?
Yeah.
It's considered part of Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turks and Caicos Islands?
Turks and Caicos. They're islands.
Oh. I'm sorry. When I first read this, I thought it was Turkey.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, reading this story, the early part talking about going to Italy, the kittens and puppy story. I'm like, this is a strange tack to take with the story, given the nature of the allegations against Vince.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's like they're trying whoever spoke to CNBC or NBC as part of the story, we're trying to soften Vince's public image a little bit.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Saying, oh, he's out enjoying life, and look, he's bringing pets back for his friends to adopt and stuff like that. I'm like, that's strange. This is odd. Literally the quote about, mentioned here that it's over. That's the punctuating line for the whole piece.
Mm-hmm,
that's the last bit in it, and it's in a lot of respects seemingly the most important, because all of the signs that we've talked about since Vince has resigned, selling all the stock, having no contact with anybody in TKO, and I think it was Mark Shapiro saying, no, we don't talk to him. He's out of the picture entirely. Mm-hmm. Everything seems to indicate, including Vince putting his remaining stocks potentially up for sale, that he's gone, but to hear from someone within the company that this is it, it's over, he's not coming back. Mm-hmm. That seems to be kind of the most important aspect of this, and it's saved for the very bottom,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think the whole kittens thing is oddball. Like, where did he get these kittens from? Like,
don't know.
Like, who?
Don't know. It's strange. I read that. I was like, what the heck? What does this have to pertain to anything, really?
Are they
other
special?
than it's an attempt to public relations for Vince?
Are they special kittens because they're from
I don't know.
Turks and what is it? And Caicos
Turks
Islands?
and Caicos Islands, yes.
It is. Incidentally, it is a British territory.
Okay.
According to Wikipedia.
All right. But it's in the Caribbean, right?
Yes, it is. You're correct about that.
Right.
Yeah. So, dude, I don't know. You're right. It's a bizarre attempt at public relations. Like, like a juror is going to be like, oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. I might be a bit biased.
Yeah, exactly. And
because I know for a fact that he was bringing kittens back for his friends to adopt. So, I'm pro Vince here.
But here's another thing. There's a lot of pets here in the United States that need to be adopted.
Stanford, if he's still, near Stanford or whatever, probably tons of kittens there in various shelters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't get it.
Yeah, dude. So
yeah, and I, we'd heard that John Cena spoke about it on Howard Stern, I believe, about talking to Vince after the lawsuit. But this is the first I think we've heard about Dwayne, The Rock, the final boss, being in touch with Vince. We don't know what it pertains to or anything like that. Also, in this article, they mentioned that Vince has been in regular contact with a certain former president and WB Hall of Famer.
If I'm not mistaken, you're talking about Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to know what those guys are talking about.
Nor do I.
But yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. According to story source indicates, if I'll put it this way, if it's like the same, if the same sources are the ones saying that Vince loves kittens and that he's, great because he's going to, he's stealing kittens and he's going to give them to his friends. And that's the same source who's saying he's been in contact with Cena and The Rock. That could be another way of trying to like soften his image a little bit. Like, oh no, they're still cool with him. Even though
totally.
I mean, I'm not being in touch with could be any number of things. It could be like super deep conversations and The Rock might love Vince McMahon. I don't know. I don't know The Rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not defending the final boss here. I'm just saying that could be any number of things. They had a prior relationship. That it's sort of silly to think that that's just going to all of a sudden stop. for everybody, especially given what John Cena said. I mean, they had incredibly close relationships with the guy. And I don't know, maybe it's a matter of Vince calling up and being like, boy, life sucks. Do you want a kitten? And they're like, I'm good, man. I'm pretty busy. I don't want a kitten right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know. Again, an interesting kind of strange piece here from CNBC. And again, it's seemingly like the most salient and important bit in it was literally the last line.
mm-hmm, yeah.
And seemingly not really the centerpiece of the conversation or the reporting as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
kind of put on at the end there. But anyways.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, the person saying, oh, yeah, he doesn't think there's going to be any charges and he thinks that this lawsuit's going to settle. There's been like that lawyer has said time and time and time again, there is not going to be a settlement here.
No.
Yeah.
No, they want this to go to trial.
They want everything out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Vince is telling that to people or and maybe not necessarily thinking that, or just being delusional that this is all going to go away and then he can continue living his life. Again, probably in his mind, accountability is for other people, not for him.
Yeah, you're probably absolutely right. I mean, you've seen enough people get away with shit like that. But also, it's not like he's going to, I mean, I don't know. Who knows if this source is like directly, hey, Vince, CNBC's on the line. What do you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know.
It kind of sounds like that, to be honest with you. Like Vince is trying to get that out there. No, everything will be fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Where,
that's
deep
kind
down,
of the
he's
vibe
like,
I got too. Yeah.
Gosh darn, I'm gonna do some time here, or at least have to pay up a lot of money. Anyways, in slightly much lighter news, to be honest with you, because this is all silliness. Today, Tony Khan had a pre-Dynasty media call, and he was asked about fan reaction to the Brawl-In backstage footage that aired a couple weeks ago on Dynamite. According to WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, who's been doing a good job transcribing all this, there was
tweeting along to the media call as it's happening.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the actual person who asked the question. Here we go. Dominic D'Angelo asked if Tony Khan understands the fan feedback on airing the All-In footage, and this is what Tony Khan had to say. TBS called him about the rating and said, "Good job. That's the most important thing. The rating is the number one source of fan feedback. It adds intrigue to the match." Hold on a second. Let me just add this. Kind of shocking that he didn't mention cage match ratings as being the end-all be-all to fan feedback, Larson.
That's a good point. Here's the thing.
Drop me a let me tell you something, dude. Come on.
Let me tell you something, Steve. The rating for that episode is not an indication of fan feedback as in positive or negative. It's an indication of curiosity.
Right, yeah.
Curiosity in terms of what's going to be shown. Now, the rating for this week and subsequent weeks is going to be the true litmus test in terms of fan reaction and fan feedback, because if they stay around or, go above 800,000, he could think, this worked out. Great job, me. Or if they start going into the toilet, he'll probably still say, it popped the rating, it added intrigue to the match, good job, me.
Yeah.
That's probably what Tony Khan will still say. Publicly.
And then he'll go over to the entryway to his giant room filled with doubloons, with gold bullion, and he'll dive into it like Scrooge McDuck, and he'll be totally fine. No, that's how I like to think billionaires live. But yeah, I don't know. Again, he's not gonna say, yeah, this is probably not a great idea. Yeah, I saw WCW 2000 trending. Think it was a little blown out of proportion. Maybe finger poke would have been better. But no, they don't do that. Those other guys, those people don't do that, man. No self-reflection there. Maybe in private, certainly not in public.
Yeah, I mean, if Tony Khan has shown one thing is publicly, even in the face of criticism or maybe fans second-guessing decisions, he'll focus almost to the extreme on the positive as he sees it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very rarely where we've seen him in a situation asked about something that's happened or he's done, and he's been in any way critical of his own decision making. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't expect it to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. Look, he's not an idiot.
No.
Like, I imagine he's got to look at the attendance, look at the ratings and be like, ooh, like can't be overwhelming. Because I look back at last year's AEW Dynamite ratings, and they are sort of on the downward trajectory in terms of like your natural, I think kind of the natural atrophy of withering away of like, cable cord cutters and stuff like that. But if you look at the Raw ratings, they're pretty stable. And I guess if you can get like the same year over year, it's indicative of, there will be people cord cutting, but if you can add more people to offset that, then you're probably doing pretty good. And especially when you look at that, like the Raw, the demographic number on that Raw rating has been like really good as of late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just a comparative thing. I'm not saying, oh, that's why WWE is great and all that kind of stuff. If you like AEW, awesome, great for you. I thought Dynamite last night was a decently solid show.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we're past it now. Hopefully we're just moving on now, and we don't need more of the drama, and there's no more footage to be seen, and then we can just have like a killer pay-per-view, and then move on with some decent stories on Dynamite. I fully expect us to have a new world champion walking out of Dynamite. I'm sorry, walking out of Dynasty, and maybe it'll be a new era, and we'll move on, and things will be positive.
Yeah. Hope so. This is a situation where getting that footage out there. Tony Khan's got that out of his system. Came up with some pretty thin motivation as it relates to the FTR Young Bucks match. Jack Perry's probably showing up at Dynasty to help the Young Bucks join the new elite. Just move forward. You don't need to go backwards and talk about this stuff anymore on your television program. Again, if it's a situation where he wants to go and defend himself or defend AEW, do it on the proper platform and actually have a transparent conversation about things rather than showing footage on your show to try to stick it to someone who doesn't even work there anymore.
Right,
In fact,
exactly.
Works for your competition.
You're saying take it to the Wrestling Observer message boards. Take it to cage match comment sections.
I mean, I don't know if that is necessarily is there a character limit on posts there? I don't know. Like if it's a full-fledged conversation that he wants to have, then I was saying if you want to go to a friendly outlet, go on Talk is Jericho and tell your perspective of the story there.
You know what Dominic D'Angelo should have asked? Tony, what would message board fan Tony from 2002 have thought about the All-In footage being released?
See, that's a good question.
That's why we should be on
what
these
would
media
you have
calls.
Posted at the time?
Yeah, that's why we
Take
should be on
yourself
these
back
media
to
calls.
2002.
Tony, have you thought about adding Griffins to your AEW titles?
See, so that's the top tier question.
And if so, what's the size of the thigh meat?
Because look at the TNT title.
Yeah.
There's all that blank space around the giant TNT logo. I mean, there's some texture to it, and it looks nice. But imagine, if you will, Griffins.
And if he doesn't want to do the same thing that WWE's doing,
Minotaurs.
Bang, Minotaurs with like giant, huge fun area.
I would be shocked if Your Highness aired on
yeah, it seems like the kind of thing that would.
Yeah, very funny,
Oh man, here we go.
That funny, but
ACP Network says ligers. Aren't ligers a real thing?
Yeah, it's a lion and a tiger. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like a lion and a tiger that did it, and then it comes up with a liger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if there was a liger with like man bottom,
yeah.
Now we're talking. Put that on the TNT title
There
right
we go.
there.
There we go.
And he's got like the cakes, like he does hella squats.
Yeah. Doesn't skip leg day for sure.
I want a juicy ass on a liger on a TNT title, Tony. That's why I need to be in the media calls to demand these things.
Yes.
As a fan of wrestling for 3 decades now, Tony, when are we going to get our liger ass on a TNT title?
On a TNT title. Can we do that, please? And thank you.
Oh, perfect. Cheeseman here says Hydras with man meat heads. Oh, brother, we're gonna get in trouble. All right, man. Let's go ahead and take a break here, Larson, because we're gonna get a word in from our sponsor, Liquid IV. Oh boy, the weather is warming up, which means it's time to kick off our semi-weekly basketball games, and we're going to take these games to the next level, Larson.
Oh, we are. I can't wait for it. But as temperatures rise, it's even more important that we stay hydrated while hooping it up in a single stick. A Liquid IV makes ordinary hydration extraordinary. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness, Liquid IV is my go-to before, during, and after we hit the court.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And speaking of dynasty, I used to get nasty dehydration headaches after we'd play basketball until I started using Liquid IV. 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates me better than water alone. And Liquid IV is the perfect companion after a long night out or if you're just chilling poolside.
And for someone like me who doesn't like sugar, Liquid IV comes in 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, lemon lime, and my personal favorite, raspberry melon. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. I started chopping away at that backyard of mine yesterday, Larson. Popped some Liquid IV so I didn't get all dehydrated because that's
Great idea.
It's a lot of work back there, man.
It is. I know. I was pulling weeds the other day. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. You should come over to my house and do that.
Pass.
Oh, come on, man.
No.
I thought you were a rider. Are you not a ride or die?
Not when it comes to yard work, no. That's a pass for me.
Man.
Your property, your problem. I ain't dealing with it.
Well, it was worth a try. Yeah, no, I'm going to get out the weed whacker. No, the edger, rather. The edger today. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyways, so what happened on Dynamite last night?
Stuff.
Stuff and things?
The finish was pretty cool. We had a great Osprey Claudio main event. You put those two guys in the ring. Crazy athletic dudes. Crazy creative dudes. You got a fun creative match. Then afterwards, Swerve comes out, tells Joe, "Get out here." Joe makes his way out there, but security tries to separate them, and Swerve goes up top. It hits all security guards, like 6 of them, with the Swerve stomp off the top to the floor, lands on his feet, and steps up to Joe. Then they start brawling, but then my recording quit out before. I assume Joe hit Swerve with a muscle buster or something to close the show. I don't know what happened, honestly.
Oh, shit, did he? I don't know.
I don't know. Last I saw, Swerve going up top.
Too.
Joe gets up, and swipes his feet out from under him. Joe says that. Joe stood tall. Right.
Oh, he did? Okay, cool.
I assume that was the case because Swerve's winning at Dynasty. So
yeah, right. That would make sense.
It was a muscle buster. All right.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, I had to watch that bit where he did the stomp onto everybody several times because I was like, okay, how did they do this? Because it was like some Mary Poppins type shit with the umbrella. You know, like he just came, floated down, and it was fine. But there was like 2 of the all the security guards were on Joe, except for the 2 guys who accepted the feat.
Yeah, because Joe stepped back when Swerve went up top.
Yeah, so Swerve comes down, and 2 of the security guards were like this, and they're the ones that braced his legs down for when he came down. I was like, oh, that's very clever. I like that. That's cool.
It was, but it was done quick enough where it looked really seamless.
Oh, it was great. It was awesome.
And you know, as a feat of athleticism and as a moment to make Swerve look like badass.
Kind of a risky one too, because that's easy to, you would think that's pretty easy to get.
Yeah, if someone botches the catch there, if Swerve doesn't land it on his feet, it's not quite the moment as it would be otherwise. It kind of reminded me of that time where Ricochet jumped out of the ring and did a flip and landed right on his feet,
right in front of.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Well, you know who it is. That was a great moment for Ricochet.
Has there been a bigger bag fumble in recent history than that one? Goodness graciousness. What is happening?
So it was a great go home segment. They're going with the story from Joe's perspective that Swerve is not ready to be champion, that Swerve chokes in the huge moments. And the way the story is being set up, if Swerve doesn't win, what are they even doing over there? Everything about the setup for the story necessitates that Swerve wins to prove Joe wrong, that he is a main event guy, that he wins in the huge matches. Swerve kind of has to win.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
I don't see Hangman coming in and costing Swerve the match. I don't see any of that. This is going to be a clean win by Swerve.
Yeah, this has got to be it, man. This has got to be it. You can't, especially like, there's nothing else that can main event. There's nothing else that can main event, and so you got to main event with this.
Well, the one match they could have had maybe main event. I mean,
don't say Bucks versus.
No, I was going to say Danielson and Ospreay.
Yeah.
That could. I don't think it should, but could.
What was
but
the
they
one?
said
The
very
last
early
one
on.
they did that wasn't the title match, was the Sting match. That made sense.
It did make sense, but like they said early on, once that match was made, this is not main eventing Ospreay Danielson.
So golly, I've got a 5 minute over. I was just looking at it. I've got a 5 minute overrun on my shit on my recording, and I just got to where Joe shoved Swerve off the top, and because he was about to attack Nana, Swerve comes in with a big boot.
Yeah.
And then he's about to go up top, and then Joe kicks him off, and I'm pretty sure he probably pops the muscle buster.
Yeah. Because my recording stopped. Like I watched all the way till
it changes to a 10-minute overrun, Larson.
I know it changes. It changes all the time. Yeah. But anyways, the only match that could conceivably, and it's not over the main of the title match, and nor should it. I mean, it should be the main event. The main event should be the title match. It should always be the title match, I think, except for special circumstances. You mentioned the Sting, retirement match. Yes, that's honoring the legacy of one of the greats in the history of the industry. It makes sense for that to main event. Otherwise, title match should main event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He is wildly over. Swerve.
He really is.
He is wildly over. And man, you gotta have your guy who's they're in a unique position where it's not like the most over guy is still kind of further down the card. They have actually built this Swerve Strickland arc, this story, this character. They have built this to this moment where he is peaking in a main event for the title, one-on-one. Let's get it done. It's got to be now. It has to be. I'd be shocked. I'll be actually pretty shocked if he doesn't win it there.
Oh, I will be too. And I think we'll be pretty disappointed as well. And I don't think we'd be alone in that sense.
What they could do, though, is have Jericho interfere in this match, and then you could do Jericho Swerve for like 3 months, right? What do you think of that Jericho segment? What do you think of Jericho segment?
Well, Jericho comes out and says, "Swerve, you need to sit under my learning tree." Is that what he's going to do?
Yeah.
The Jericho Vortex. That might be enough for me to stop watching AEW if they did something like that.
So Jericho pushes Taz during the what do they build this as?
Like Taz brokers a meeting between
brokers. That's what it is.
A face-to-face.
Taz brokered it. Taz gets in the ring so that he can fall awkwardly when Jericho shoves him, and then Hook can back Jericho down and say, anytime, any place, anywhere, which is those last two are redundant. But yeah, so we're gonna get an FTW rules match for the eBay title at Dynasty, and we did our predictions today. But do you want to do like a little bit of a little preview of our predictions?
I mean, we kind of did. We both said Swerve kind of has to win, and we think he is winning. But the match far less certain on is this one.
Yeah, right.
Where it's entirely possible that Jericho. It's FTW rules, so Jericho can't cheat, because it is anything goes for the most part.
Anything goes, yeah.
So he can't take Floyd the Bat and hit Hook with it when the ref's not looking. So you got to kind of, the idea that Jericho would be like, hey, I'm going to teach you a lesson in this match, Hook. Look, here's how to cut corners and bend the rules to get the win. Can't do that in FTW match. So you got to eliminate that off the table as a topic of conversation about how Jericho wins it. But possibility exists that Jericho will do something to that same effect as a teaching moment, a teachable moment, if you will, for Hook, which leads to him getting the win. But I don't know. I mean, like in the Ricky Starks feud, Starks won the 2 singles matches, and there was a tag match that he took the pin against Jericho. I know, and it was a little different in this scenario because it was Jericho, Hook, and Shibata losing to Shane Taylor Promotions. Their team lost, And will that be considered the L for Hook in this story? I don't know. Preliminary pick for me was Hook because he doesn't lose a lot, but the possibility exists that they can have Jericho somehow get a cheap victory here, only for Hook to beat him very decisively at some point later on.
Given that they introduced Taz as the broker in this situation, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Jericho will further use Taz as leverage against Hook in the match somehow, threatening him, beating him up beforehand, distracting Hook with him somehow, some way, shape, or form, to let Jericho get the win here. It is kind of an interesting thing that Jericho is taking the perception about him that he's, as we've said here, going in Raw, momentum vampire. He sort of latches on to these younger talent, and he's sort of using that. It seems obvious that for a while now, for a couple months, Jericho has been a bit out of sorts. The crowd's not huge on him, and he's sort of figuring out which way to go. Well, the obvious direction is just bad guy. If the crowd doesn't like you, just try to make a story out of it and be bad guy. And he's seemingly trying to take the perception about him that, he sort of is, he sort of drains the life force out of these younger talents for his own benefit. And he's using that in a story here with Hook. But I do think that part of that has to, number one, with Jericho, it's always an elongated feud. And I think that's one thing that people have an issue with.
Yeah.
It's like, especially with this, the Starks one was sort of the tipping point where it was like, okay, man, like you're doing too much and you're doing it wonky and it's in a weird order and none of it really is helping anybody. And, now he's full on bad guy Jericho, condescending. You need to listen to me. And I kind of feel like the story probably necessitates Jericho winning. I think Taz is probably more than willing to be like, hey, because, it's obviously Taz's title in real life. Yeah. Hey, we'll put it on you, Jericho. You're a big deal, or in theory you are. And then it'll be an even bigger deal when Hook wins it back from you. I mentioned on the prediction something somewhat similar to the Jack Perry thing, even though obviously Jack Perry wasn't exactly Chris Jericho. But I don't know. It remains to be seen. I thought the segment kind of just was a bit on the limp side. I thought, again, Jericho trying to do stuff and Hook getting kind of outside his comfort zone. I don't know. Just something about it seemed like off. I'm not sure it really hit the way that they were hoping it would hit, but
At least I don't disagree with that, but I thought at least in that segment, Jericho had a much firmer grasp on who his character is now.
Sure, yeah.
Because for a while, it just sounded like they put a mic in front of him and he was just trying to string together enough sentences to fill a promo, because it seemed like there was no direction for him.
Yeah. Or as you pointed out, one really, really long sentence.
It seemed like stream of consciousness. Like they put a mic in front of him and he's like, all right, you got 3 minutes to fill. All right.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to fill every second of that then.
So in that sense, it was a step forward, but there's not a whole lot of heat to this. Jericho really just needs to step away for a little bit. That used to be one of the things he really knew how to do was, all right, what I'm doing is getting stale. I'm stepping away.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, I'm not vibing with, stepping away. And I don't know what it is in terms of the here and now that he's not doing that, but a lot of people here in chat are saying have Hook beat him in under a minute. Have Hook beat him in under a minute. Jericho steps away for a few months.
Well, I know, but they kind of did that. Like, it wasn't under a minute, but like Hook continually like just suplexed Jericho
dropped him on his head. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's still there. He's still around. He didn't learn his lesson.
No. So this time Hook does it more and faster.
Yeah. This thing cannot be, they cannot have this match go 12 minutes. You know what I mean? No. It really needs to be like at most 7, know? Like nobody wants to see this go very long, but then it's an FTW rule. So I don't even know. I don't know. And there's only at this point on the main card, there's only like 9 matches.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, I hope so.
But it's AEW, so you never.
Does Mox have a match on the card?
No, he doesn't. I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
thought for sure they were going to set up Mox Takeshita.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Which is still possible. When is the Hobbs match?
Next week on Dynamite.
Oh, it's next week on Dynamite.
So
okay. If it was on Collision, they might have set that up.
Yeah, yeah. So Takeshita Mox will be after that.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Speaking of Mox, he opened the show with a long promo, kind of just saying, I got the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Might as well jump into it. I can paraphrase what he says here.
Sure.
I've been chasing this title for 5 years. He says 5 years of wins and losses, thousands of miles traveled, pints of blood and sweat. And, people thought I never hold this title, especially here on Dynamite, but they didn't know it was inside me. And that's what this is all about. When your back is up against the wall, how deep can you dig when you feel you've got nothing left? Are you willing to prove the doubters wrong? Show the world that's what AEW is about. If the beginning of this promo to a degree was the rah-rah thing they were hoping to do with Copeland, this was probably more effective because it related to his story as opposed to some, grand statement about wrestling in AEW. It felt more personal.
Yeah, I feel like, this. Great. You're right. I agree with that, and I also feel like this Mox hasn't been around, and if winning the IWGP title sort of thing to restart Mox in terms of being like the ace of the promotion, then this was a really good promo for that. It was long, but it
was effective, and it
was effective.
It served its purpose. So then he pivots, starts talking about Don Callis' family. Specifically attacking Bryan Danielson in advance of Danielson's match against Ospreay. He says, if you target Danielson, you might also put a target on me as well. And he calls out Powerhouse Hobbs and challenges him to a match. The main event of Dynamite next week in Jacksonville. And he says he's going to drag Will Hobbs to the deepest waters there are. He'll look around and see no shoreline. And when he asks the referee to come rescue him or he sinks to the bottom of the ocean, he will know the difference between me and him. And he will know that Don Callis is feeding him lies. He will know that him, just like everybody else in this business, nobody can touch me. There are a lot of great wrestlers in the world, but there is only one, and there's ever going to be one, Jon Moxley.
Jon Moxley. BJ here says, will Mox put the title up against people in AEW? Or only New Japan? I would not be shocked to see him have IWGP title matches.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
On Collisions. Maybe not Collisions. But I hope they make those special events. They should be special events,
They should
they
be,
go
absolutely.
that route.
Absolutely.
After that, we had a Mercedes Moné promo. She says, last week somebody attacked me in the dark because they were too afraid to face me in the light. She says, but as CEO, I always get right back up. As the CEO, I can't wait to pay back that bitch who attacked me last week. Lights off, huh? Lights off. That sounds a little too familiar, Julia Hart. Julia, I don't picture you to be such a coward. So she's blaming Julia. It was Willow, though, wasn't it?
Probably.
Okay. Man, I'm trying to reconcile this, dude. You know how, you'll get, this big deal free agent signing, right? But then you sort of realize that you got other people in your roster that are kind of more now. They're kind of more, oh, wow, you got to roll with this person now. They're making a tenth of what the person you just signed is making, of what you're paying them.
Yeah.
But you got to roll with them now because they're exciting now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Willow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I don't know how to reconcile this. You got Mercedes Moné. She's got this thing with Willow. And it's maybe back when they did the New Japan Strong match, okay, Mercedes was the thing. But in that time, since then, AEW's done a decent job building up Willow. It seems like she should be the person to take that title off Julia and then keep the title for a while. So is there any possibility? Let me ask you this. Is there any possibility if you and I had the pencil, right?
Yeah.
And we found ourselves in a situation where it's we're going to bring Mercedes in, and clearly the money's right there with her and Willow, but you kind of realize you should probably protect Willow. Is there any way to pivot instead of doing that match now? You get Mercedes over to Tony instead, because Tony's had that title for a little while, and you could do that match instead.
This is what you'd have to do at Double or Nothing, it wouldn't be a one-on-one match with Willow and Mercedes. You'd make it a triple threat. And if you want to get that title on Mercedes, you have her pin someone other than Willow. Assuming Willow wins at Dynasty.
Okay, let's assume that Willow wins a Dynasty.
Yeah.
But still, that's like
no,
a
I understand
5-week long title
they
reign.
really got themselves in a corner here where Mercedes isn't cleared to wrestle now. So they're advertising her first match at Double or Nothing against whoever is TBS champ. And maybe there's a situation where they decide if Willow wins the Dynasty, hey, let's roll with Willow for a little bit. They can have some left field pick to be the person that attacked Mercedes in the interview segment last week that's not Willow or Julia Hart. And then Mercedes can get sidetracked with that feud for a bit while Willow gets some title defenses and gets a reign of more than 5 weeks. I suppose that's a possibility. Maybe if like Sky Blue attacked her.
Well, also, John Covington here in our YouTube chat brings up Chris Statlander, which I think is also maybe kind of an obvious pick.
Yeah.
Think
There's
about
names
it.
they can go with that wouldn't be completely out of nowhere. You go that route, and then that's that takes Mercedes away from her sights being set the TBS title, and they say, all right, I still want the TBS title, but I got to take care of Statlander or Sky Blue, whoever it is first. Don't think you're getting away from this match with me, Willow. So then Willow can have the belt for a few months. They come back around to that match at All In, All Out. So then Willow would have it for 4 months instead of 5 weeks.
It's always
and
an
they
interesting
take time to build that story up a bit more.
Yeah. It's always an interesting situation. It reminds me kind of like, and this is a little bit on the apples and oranges side, but when the Acclaimed took on Swerve in Our Glory the first time, and it became so strikingly clear that it's like, yeah, we know you're trying to tell this story with Swerve in Our Glory, but like the Acclaimed have really turned into something that people desperately want to see succeed.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, are they going to call an audible here? Because this crowd really wants the Acclaimed. And so, of course, the next month, he rolled with the Acclaimed, and then they were like super popular, and then he squandered it. But
yeah, he did.
But yeah, no, Willow's she honestly seems like that. And, maybe, Swerve totally proved that you can take L after L after L. And as long as your character, finds stories to mine from those losses, you can elevate yourself to a degree with that.
Swerve found a way for his character to grow through losses.
Yeah.
He talks about the coffin match at All In a bunch and how that changed him. And wins and losses to a degree matter in terms of storytelling and wrestling. It's so long as as characters change, evolve, and grow from either winning or losing. When a character, a wrestler, loses a bunch and nothing changes, well, then the perception is they're depth talent or enhancement talent. You know what I mean?
This would be kind of interesting. I mean, this is one name who could immediately take Mercedes out of the Willow conversation. It's Britt Baker. She hasn't been around for a long time.
People are mentioning Saraya too.
Yeah, Saraya, they got history, of course. Yeah. So yeah, they could pivot. Maybe they will. Speaking of Willow, she had a mixed tag match with Cope. After that, against Julia Hart and Brody King. However, Cope came out, but then cut backstage, and Willow has been laid out. And then Stokely and Statlander's tending to her, and she's like, oh, man, I'm fine. The lights went out. They came back up. I'm sorry. She's like, I'm fine. And then we go back to the ring. Lights go out. Come back up. Brody's there. He blasts Cope in the back while Julia stands on the ramp. Brody just absolutely wrecks Cope for a spell. The ref calls for the match to start. Cope gets a little bit, hits an impaler, sets up for a spear, runs into a clothesline. Brody looks for a cannonball, but Cope moves and evades it. Julia checks on Brody. Willow comes to ringside and gets in her corner. Cope sticks his foot out, and Willow tags in and hits Brody with a crossbody off the second rope. Julia drops off the apron. Cope hits Brody with a spear. Willow follows with a cannonball into the corner. Julia slides back into the ring with a handful of chain, punches Willow with it, then locks on the Heartless, and Willow passes out from that. Then Mercedes comes to the ring and chases Julia off with a chair. Julia and Brody take off. Mercedes turns her attention to Willow until Cope gets in the ring. Mercedes drops the chair. Cope and Mercedes shake hands. He's like, hey, I remember you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're doing a decent job building the intrigue with Willow and Mercedes, but if there's an upswell of fan support for Willow, whether the plan is to turn her heel, whatever the case may be, have her lose so quick after winning the TBS title, it's gonna feel like a bit of a letdown.
It will backfire if they try to turn Willow bad guy.
Yeah.
It'll backfire.
Yeah.
The people are not going to be like, oh yeah, now I'm going to boo her. It wouldn't make any sense.
No. Then we got a Samoa Joe sit-down interview with Renee. Renee asked Joe, how do you view Swerve as an opponent? And he says, I used to view him as a worthy adversary, someone who would someday make a great champ. But right now, he's more of a nuisance. And he says he doesn't have any of the prerequisites necessary to be champ. He says, for me, Swerve has the prerequisites to be a punching bag. And that's what I think about Swerve. And so Renee asked, what was your reaction to Swerve holding that title last week? And Joe says, as you could expect, I was worried that my property was in the wrongful hands of somebody who will never possess it. It says, let's talk about what the man represents. Every championship Swerve is challenged for. It seems he's come up short. He seems to be a bit of a choke artist, right? Every championship, every opportunity, every time he comes just so close, but then he chokes and swerves a little bit off target. It says history will repeat itself once again at Dynasty. He'll do what he always has done. Joe will do what I've always done. That's destroy my opposition, cement my legacy as the greatest AEW champ of all time. And for Swerve, my friend, unfortunately, you are a choke artist. To come Dynasty, you don't have to worry about that because I'll be the one choking you out.
Ooh. After that, we had the Young Bucks and Okada backstage. There's like a FTR video package being played, and they're like, no, halfway through, like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Matt's like, sorry, guys, tonight's episode of Dynamite is super stacked, so unfortunately, we had to bump your segment. I promise I'll put that package up on social so we can do that. And Nick's like, and I hope you guys are watching. We're about to beat your friends' ass in this cool 6-man tag up next. And guess what? It's a tune-up for Dynasty. A ladder match? Are you kidding me? It's something we've perfected. We're going to become the first 3-time tag champs. And Matt's like, all right, let's not skip ahead. Tell him about tonight, Rainmaker. Goddess says, Pac, you will not make it to Dynasty. You're a dead man. I just love watching Okada during these segments because it's clear the guy is just tickled. He's just having a good time.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans down and the Bugs like, okay, Tony, give us our entrance. And Tony's just sitting there. Okay, guys. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. And then we had the match, Young Bucks and Okada taking on Daniel Garcia, Penta, and Pac. A lot of fun. There was this great bit where Pac takes out the Young Bucks and gets in the ring, is telling Okada to get in the ring, and Okada's like, I have to be tagged in to get in to fight you.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He's he's pantomiming the act of tagging. This talking crap is great. It's so much fun. In the end, the Young Bucks hit Garcia with stereo super kicks. Okada follows with the Rainmaker to get the win, and afterwards the Young Bucks hit Garcia with the EVP trigger, and then the Young Bucks bring a ladder into the ring, slam Garcia into it, and sandwich him between the two sides. Nick goes up top, and then Pac runs in with his ring bell hammer, and the Young Bucks and Okada rush out of the ring.
I love the ring bell hammer.
I do too.
It's good stuff. Anyways, it's not going to help Pac on Sunday. He's going to take that L.
Yeah, he's going to take that L to the Rainmaker.
After that, we have the Jericho Hook face-to-face. Shit just comes off sometimes as a little bit on the awkward side. Because I get what Jericho's trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
He's like doing his character and everything, and it's very WWE. And Hook just sort of sits there in the corner, with his gray sweatpants on, eating some chips. Sometimes I think Hook tries to be a little too Hook.
Yeah.
It's like his whole thing should be like, I could be here or not. But instead he's like, I need to show these people that I'm apathetic, And
I think that's how it comes off, but I think he's trying to come off as tough guy. I think that's what it is. And part of that is he's so... he's kind of blasé about things because he's confident in his abilities and that he's a tough dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So he doesn't sweat stuff, and sometimes that comes off as apathy as opposed to confidence.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so he's sitting, he's leaning in the corner, and he's got his beanie so low he could barely see his eyes, and reaction, so much of reaction to stuff is in the eyes.
Yeah, right.
And if you can't really see your eyes, you're just standing there kind of stone faced, and that's just not interesting.
You know, it's absolutely insane. And I never thought about it until somebody spelled it out on Twitter, I don't know, a couple of years ago. But imagine, because you're right, like everything's in the eyes. Like LeVar Burton might be one of the greatest actors of our generation because of what he did on Star Trek. To have to wear that stupid visor for like 7 years and give the performances that he gave.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
Good.
He is really good.
Anyways, so Jericho's like, Taz, we've known each other 30 years. You know, it's going to go long when somebody mentions how long they've known each other.
Yeah. Parts of this felt like it was 30 years long.
Yeah. He says, the reason I pulled you off the apron last week was not to mess with Shibata. Shibata was just collateral damage. I wanted to get your attention and let you know that I didn't feel you were listening to me as much as you should. As much as I can help you, Hook, keep this in mind. I'm doing this all for you. Now, some people say I'm the greatest of all time at this. Other people talk about the learning tree. Hook, I am the learning tree. I think about everybody in AEW who's listened to my parables, who've listened to my pearls of wisdom, who've gotten to the next level. All of them. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, Danny Garcia, John Moxley, Ospreay, all of them. So many more have gotten to the next level. Everyone that's come into the Jericho vortex has come out the other side a better performer, a better wrestler. And let's be honest, a better person as well. And that's what I want for you, Hook. I want us to scale the highest of heights together. I want us to get to the top of Wizard Mountain so we can both breathe in the rarefied air of Jericho and get to the top. I know I can get to the top. What do you say, man? And Hook says, no. And Jericho says, what do you mean, no? And Hook says, I don't need your help. And Jericho says, come on, man, don't be stupid. And Taz's like, hold on a second. And Jericho's like, no, stop. He's like, I'm just doing what you should have done 30 years ago and giving this kid some proper guidance. Side note, Hook is 24. He says, this is what I'm talking about, Hook. I need you to get rid of all this dead weight that's been surrounding your entire life. And Taz is like, dude, calm down. What the heck's your problem? And he says, Hook, I know you've had people your whole life telling you how good you are, telling you're a future world champion, including this man right here. He says, but right here, right now, you're not ready. You're not as good as you think you are. And Taz again tries to step in, but Jericho shoves him. And Taz has the most dramatic fall down. And they're like, oh my God, his knees had a knee problem.
Like, oh, his knee is terrible.
And then Hook drops his mic, steps up to Jericho. He pushes him into the corner. And Jericho, again, he knows production. He sort of has the mic up, in his chest so that everybody can hear Hook's mumblings. And he says, you crossed the line. I'll show you how good I am anytime, anywhere, any place. Get out of my ring. And Jericho's like, look, man, I know you're hot right now. He said, no, get out of my ring. And then Jericho slowly leaves the ring. And that's it. Scene. I know Heather says they made Taz look weak. I wanted him to clock Jericho. Yeah, since when is Taz a help I fall and I can't get up guy?
Well, he has bad knees, Steve.
He's the human suplex machine.
I know. He should be putting the Taz mission on Jericho.
Kansa Hajime.
Thank you. That's what we should be seeing. So then we got a Swerve interview. Sit-down interview with Renee. Renee asks him, hey, what's your reaction to Joe calling you a choke artist? Swerve says, I heard what he said. Let me ask you, do you believe what Samoa Joe said? Do you think I'm a choke artist? And Renee says, no. Swerve says, no, I don't think so either. He talked about me stumbling on career title opportunities here in AEW. I mean, he's not wrong. I stumbled out of the gate. I've been stumbling my whole career, but guess what? I've always fallen forward into success. Just in this past year, I've been put in a coffin. I got back up. I've been stapled, my body thrown to barbed wire, and I got back up. I had a man not just a couple weeks ago knocked me in the face with a chain and bloodied me during a contract signing, and I'm still here. I always get back up. That's my military upbringing, a warrior ethos. Never give up, never quit. So, Joe, you can call me whatever you want. You can call me the punching bag. You can call me the choke artist. You can refer to me as a parasite, but guess what? This Sunday at Dynasty, you can call me the new AEW World Champ. Renee asked him, why are you so confident? And Swerve says, with all due respect, something I shouldn't be answering to you. I should be answering to Samoa Joe. So, Joe, I tell you to your face in the ring tonight.
Yep. After that, we had a fun match between Mariah May and Deonna Purrazzo.
This is good. This is really good.
Yeah, they gave it time. That was nice to see. Let's see here. So May was looking for a Mayday. Deanna escaped that. Mariah May looked for a roll-up. Deanna reversed it into a roll-up of her own to get the win. That brought Toni Storm out. Her and Mariah May both stomp on Deanna. Thunder Rosa rushes to the ring to make the save. Deanna gets to her feet, and she gets in Thunder Rosa's face because they're like, we don't like when we help each other.
Yeah.
Then they push each other. Mariah May pulls Deanna out of the ring. Toni looks for a Storm Zero on Thunder Rosa. She escapes that, puts her in a camel clutch, takes out some lipstick out of her jacket and smear all over her face.
Yeah.
So doesn't look good for Thunder Rosa when it comes to go home math.
Go home math. No, it does not. Then we got a Bang Bang Gang interview. Guns up, Steve.
Guns up. Oh, other one.
This is the most mild guns up. No, not the ones. Guns up,
what?
Steve. Not your ones.
Gun up.
Guns up. So Jay White's talking about how it's been eventful of late. Some scissoring, some new catchphrases, new T-shirts, new friends, new fans. It all leads to him challenging the Acclaimed Daddy Ass to a trio / 6-man tag belt unification bout at Dynasty. All the trios titles on the line.
Yeah, that's too many titles right there. They should just combine them.
I think, well, maybe they will.
That could be.
The winning team get all those belts, 6 belts collectively.
Yeah, it's too many.
Pare it down to 3. So then, of course, the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass have a response. Billy says, Jay, I've already beaten the life out of you. And for the other two, this was terrible. Talk about a Sons This Way. As for the other two, I've been beating the hell out of them since they were little kids. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's heel action right there.
What is this?
Yeah, you shouldn't beat on kids, man.
No.
He's sitting around like he's already on the road a lot. He's already like deadbeat dad. So then he just shows up. He's like, "Hey, honey, I'm home." Famouser. You
What
know
the heck?
what the hell are you doing over there, Billy Gunn?
Come on.
Goodness
Come
gracious.
on.
Yeah, John
So
Houser
anyways.
says call CPS.
Yeah. So anyways, the Acclaim, they accept the Bang Bang Gang's challenge. And then Caster says, we're going to run it back 2-on-2 Ass Boys versus the Acclaimed on Collision.
I mean, maybe it's like when you see like wrestling fans who are fathers on like social media, and they're doing like silly power bombs onto pillows or beds with their little kids who are down.
Yeah, that's not the vibe I got from what Billy was saying here.
Thought it was a little bit more violent then, huh?
Seemingly.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, after that we had Orange Cassidy versus Shane Taylor. My hopes that Trent would get involved here, leading to a Shane Taylor win. Not to happen. But still, this is a hell of a match right here.
It was kind of short, though.
Oh, was it?
Felt short.
I like short matches, man. We need more short matches.
I think you're starting to come around to being a fan of the new generation era of WWE. You want 3-minute matches.
I don't want squashes. This wasn't a squash, at least. Shane Taylor got lots of his shit in.
Yeah, no, and yeah.
You know what? I'm now a fan of the WWE speed style. That's going to be my
highly
thing,
competitive 5-minute matches.
Highly competitive, like 3 to 5. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you. All right.
You can tell that story. I don't need give me a wrestler who can tell that story in 5 as opposed to 17. Come on, let's get some efficiency here,
Steve
man.
wants efficiency above
I
all.
don't need all that shit in the middle, man. Give me the first 2 minutes. Give me the last 3. Otherwise, just a bunch of moves, man.
It's just a bunch of moves. Steve doesn't have time for filler.
And when what was it? Danielson and MJF had that killer Iron Man match. You could have told I don't know, 12 amazing matches in that span of time.
There's something be said for the story of Battle of Attrition. And that's what that was.
It's just moves.
Needed
Man.
the
It's
length.
just a bunch of shit.
Filler, Steve says. Filler. Nothing but filler.
Oh man, that's how I watch my Matlock episodes. Give me the first 2 minutes. Give me the last 3.
You just watch the setup and then what the jury's verdict is. You don't watch anything
It's the same
else.
thing at the end. No, it's the same thing at the end. They don't even usually go to the juror. It's just whoever did it ends up on the stand and they admit to
confess?
it.
There you go.
They confess. Like Matlock was making people confess every episode.
What a cross-examiner.
On the stand. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, wow was right.
Here's the thing. If you're going up against Matlock at a trial, you'd probably want to do a little bit of your research. And if you see there's a pattern of him getting people to confess on stand, you don't have your client take the stand.
Staying away from this guy.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's not even. It was always, wasn't it? It was always like witnesses. It was like whoever was on trial never actually did it. It was one of the witnesses or somebody in the general vicinity, and then he'd get them to commit. And then because I think Matlock would be defending the person who's on trial. I think, yeah, he was the defending guy. That's why he had the private eye to go out and then like do stuff. He'd always find the guy that did it and put him on the stand somehow.
Well, he'd call the witness to take the stand and then get them to confess, or the prosecution.
Again, I don't watch the middle shit.
Oh, sorry. I don't think I've ever seen Matlock say. That's the genre, because on Murder, She Wrote, I mean, granted, no trials, but Angela Lansbury would always, this tiny, I guess it's a tiny little Maine town, you know.
You think Chicago's bad? No. Wherever Angela Lansbury's from.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, per capita. Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
it's
like,
like
I guess
20% of the population there die by Murther.
It's a small town, so you know it's probably pretty quick to say, all right, didn't do it. All right, there's 3 people for sure have an opportunity to do this. One of them had to have, you know.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's such a tiny little town. Anyway.
Yeah,
but by the end, it was always she'd find a way to get them to confess.
She'd always trick them. Yeah. This is a good time to remind the people that we've got our own Friendo Club set up. Of course, we've got the big AEW Dynasty Predictions Challenge. It's part 1 of 2. It's a 2-part predictions challenge. Starts off with Dynasty. Then we're heading to WWE Backlash from Lyon, France. And the way you get to do this predictions challenge, to become the new predictions champion, maybe I'll do like a French-themed big blue hat this time. What's like what's a very French, like, you know, the Eiffel Tower, Mona Lisa, you know, what else is something French that I could put on a hat?
Champagne.
Champagne.
That's something you can only make in France.
3-way sexual liaison.
Wow.
3 people on a hat. Just throwing down, man. Oh man. Friendo Club. Yeah.
Talk about the Friendo Club setup. There you go. Get into that.
Click join right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson.
Oh, wow.
Or at patreon.com/Steven Larson.
Too.
Click the Friendo Club setup and you might win a hat with a bunch of people fucking on it.
Probably not. Like, you know, hey, Steve, I don't know what he's going to do. Also, if you're watching here live, VOD on the YouTube, if you could, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to reach our next palindrome sub goal, 202,202 subscribers. We've made some good progress over the course of this month. We'd like to get there by the summer. Also, watching here on YouTube, hit that like button. We like the validation. It's good for the video algorithm, whatever it is. Yes. We got 700 people watching. We only got less than 200 likes. Can we get that up to 300 maybe?
Look at these AEW reviews are killing it right now. Ratings are up, Larson. Maggie said it'll be like one of them hats or keychains at Florida truck stops. They got hats of people fucking at Florida truck stops?
They do, man.
That's crazy.
Next time, stop in at the Wawa and see what you could find.
No kidding. I'll take one of these hot dogs, a Wawa hot dog, and I need a fuck hat, please.
An all over print hat of just people going at
fucking. Yeah. It's like a sex ed video, please.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, after Orange Cassidy gets the win over Shane Taylor with an orange punch, Lee Moriarty gets in the ring and starts choking that fool out. Anthony Ogogo gets in the ring, punches Orange Cassidy in the gut. Shane gets to his feet. Ogogo and Lee hold up Orange. And then Christopher Daniels comes limping out. And then Matt Sydal rushes towards the ring. But then Trent's like, nah. He drops them with a chair. And then Shane Taylor and friends are like, oh, shit, that dude's helping us out? Cool. So he just wrecks Orange with a big right hand. Lee puts on a Border City stretch.
Yeah.
And Trent walks back up the ramp.
Maybe they'll do Trent versus Orange Cassidy at a Dynasty.
Oh, that's a likely situation. Yeah, I don't know what Orange Cassidy has going on in Collision, but they'll probably announce it there.
Maybe they'll keep that as a TV feud. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
10 matches is good for.
I know. Just stop.
Stay.
Just stop. But here's the thing:
10.
3 hours, Rampage and Collision back to back. Man, they're going to squeeze a couple more matches out of that.
Or they're going to tell some stories on those shows and not add matches to the pay-per-view.
I mean,
Anyways.
that would be ideal, but my goodness, the odds of that happening are slim.
Minimal. So we got a Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly video package ahead of their match Dynasty for the international title. And we got our main event, Will Ospreay taking on Claudio Castagnoli. Again, two highly athletic, incredibly creative wrestlers. You get a highly athletic, incredibly creative match. Tons of fun. A lot of great counters here. Fast pace. When Ospreay countered the swing by doing a crunch while being swung, and then
that was cool.
Hitting the tornado DDT.
More people need to figure out how to get out of the swing because it's a humiliating move.
You got strong abs. Do what Ospreay did.
Yeah, I know, but like half the people that get swung have strong abs. Most of them just sit there like this. Woo,
I know.
Having a good old time. Maybe they like it. Maybe it's a fun time. What's that?
I doubt it. Being dizzy is miserable. I can't stand that.
Oh, I would hate that. Even if I was Claudio, like, how does he maintain his equilibrium after that?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Like, I do 3 spins in this chair, and I'm done for the day. I got to go lay down.
Me too. I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sometimes I'll land a full soil.
Yeah. So anyways, after Ospreay hits that tornado DDT, he hits like a corkscrew splash, gets a 2 there. Hits a hidden blade to get the win. Immediately, Hobbs, Takeshita, Fletcher hit the ring. They attack Claudio. And Ospreay slides out of the ring. He's not into it.
Mm-hmm.
So Takeshita is about to hit Claudio with a brainbuster on the ramp. Mox comes in through the crowd, starts attacking the Callis family. Him and Hobbs trade shots in the ring. Eventually, Claudio and Mox clear the ring, stand tall. And Ospreay is upset with the Callis family, telling them to back off.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Tension within Callis family, finally.
I like that they've actually referenced that Will Ospreay is part of the Callis family for once. Because, like, they did it when he first came in. He had, like, his series of matches with Callis family, but then, like, all of his promos are solo. They don't really talk about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Now we can finally get around to this.
Yeah.
So that's cool. After that, we had a Swerve Strickland promo in the ring. He's like, as you know, this Sunday in the main event of Dynasty, you got Swerve challenging Samoa Joe for the AEW World title. He says, I was asked earlier today how I was going to beat Samoa Joe, and that answer is simple. You remember last week when I knocked you on your ass and you went scurrying on the floor like a little bitch, Joe? You had fear in your eyes and you were quivering. I was standing there with your title held up above my head, which looks mighty good on me. You showed me everything I needed to see. You were scared. The fear. The fact that you know I'm going to beat you. I'm just out here with the rest of these people in Indianapolis so I can say it to your face like a man. So I'm here. Nana's here. So, Joe, bring your sweet tooth ass out here so I can tell you like a man. Joe walks to the ramp. Security's trying to hold him back while Swerve talks shit. And then he does that big Swerve stomp off the top onto everybody in security. They expertly landed that one. He lands on his feet, steps up to Joe, points at the title. They trade shots. Joe throws him into the ring steps, tosses him in the ring. Goes up behind Nana, mocking his dance, corners him. Swerve comes in with a big boot, follows with a house call. He goes up top, and then Joe sweeps out his feet and hits a muscle buster to stand tall over Swerve Strickland, who's going to be your new AEW World Champion.
That is correct.
Anyways,
bound to happen.
And that is your AEW Dynamite review.
Indeed. You want to answer some questions? Yeah.
Yeah. First up from, let's see. Here we go. We could talk about this a little bit. David Matushik says, with WWE moving WrestleMania out of Final Four's crosshairs, where do you think they should hold the event date-wise? In other words, when should they hold it?
So I haven't looked at calendars for previous years, but of course this year, the weekend before Mania was Easter weekend. They're not going to do it then.
Nah.
So maybe the weekend prior?
So I didn't want to talk too much about this, but Fightful Select has a thing that says some people internally in WWE are pushing for May.
That's quite a departure from usual. I mean, it's gone as early as mid-March, I believe.
Yeah.
And maybe as late as mid-April, but it's always kind of been in the March-April part of the year.
You know, my thing is this. This year was the most watched WrestleMania It's the biggest WrestleMania, whatever they want to say about it. You're winning. What does it matter if you're going up against the Final Four? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless they have like really super in-depth metrics to suggest that it's like really hurting WrestleMania.
Here's a possibility. This could be nothing. Final Fours of late have been held in football stadiums. Maybe there's competition for venues.
Oh, that could be.
With the Final Four.
When's the championship game usually?
Usually it's not on the weekend. Usually it's on a Monday, I thought.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the two Final Four games
if it's just the Final Four, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're WrestleMania. You know, act like you matter. Act like you're a big deal. They should be worried about you, you know?
Yeah.
Even if they're not.
Yeah. But if like they wanted to have a Mania in, I don't know, Indianapolis. I mean, they're in my mind because that's where Dynamite was, and they have a dome football stadium there. But nope, Final Four's got it. And I imagine Final Four books out, you know, several years in advance as far as where they're going to hold the Final Four.
You know, I mean, here's the thing. There is quite a dead zone between Chamber and Mania. You know, it's like a little too long. So maybe, move it back to mid-March.
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelmiko here says, who watches the other product more, Tony Khan or Triple H?
Who watches what?
The other product more. So does Tony Khan watch more WWE than Triple H watches AEW or vice versa?
Oh, what a good question.
So I feel like I wonder if the situation is Tony Khan himself might watch more wrestling, whether it be WWE or other stuff. Triple H probably has people watch stuff and then tell him what he absolutely should pay attention to.
I think you're right about that. I think that's a good assessment. I feel like Tony, you know, if you're on the back foot a bit, I think you're watching the competition more than the competition's watching you. Mm-hmm. If you're firing all cylinders, you're like, psh. Hey, look, tell me if they're doing it. Tell me if there's anybody good over there.
Yeah. Tell me if they're doing it
that we can miss out on signing.
Yeah.
And then I can bitch about it. Oh, man. Is there anybody over there who's not on the grind enough? Oh, wow. Here we go.
Yeah.
Zach Stish says, Moxley's AEW promo was like a well-painted work of art, while Copeland's was more in the realm of a preschooler's painting. You're happy that the kid made the painting, but the work of art feels more believable and authentic. Which one would you buy? Well, okay, number one, there is nothing here that says money is no option.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a desire to put like super duper paintings in my house, although I'm not opposed to it, I guess. I'm more of a
you'd be cool
guy.
with it so long you have to pay the price tag associated with it.
Preschoolers' artwork is probably pretty damn cheap, you know?
Yeah.
The only way I would buy it though is if it was like my child. She's not in preschool anymore, obviously, but you know, I would be like, "Oh, thanks. Here's," and you know, you do the thing where it's like fake money.
Yeah.
So that'd be like basically like free gratis. So then I'm not out anything. If it's like an actual work of art that some, you know, dude painted, you're probably paying a hefty fee there. So
yeah. If it's, you know, sometimes you go to like restaurants or cafes or something and that are selling artwork by local artists. Some of those are super expensive.
Yeah, I know. So what I would do is if I really liked it, I would just, you know, look at it, understand what it was, go to like an AI program and explain it, have it printed out at high res.
Exactly what there was, where this was going.
Just put it up in my, you know, I would tack it onto my wall.
That's terrible.
I'm joking, Steve. Of course. I'm not.
We got
not into the AI.
Samson's a member for 13 months. Is crying, laughing at referring to the Vince story. PR firm decided to go with the visual of Vince presenting his friends with kittens. Yeah, that's an odd detail to include.
It is weird. It is weird.
Steve Kaharski, member for 10 months, says, finally made a live stream. Thank you for everything you guys do. Friendo Club for life. Our Jason with the super chat says, today is my birthday. You guys are great. Well,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Buster here with a super chat says, don't you think it's too early for Swerve to win? No.
No.
I think it's perfect timing.
Yeah. Scorpio with a super chat says, hello, Steve. Can I get a Dusty, please?
Yeah, what's up, Scorpio 85? Yeah, how you doing? It's good to see you here. I hope you're doing well today. That's just my dog.
That's your dog's voice, yeah.
Dad, what are you doing? She's been good today. Took her to the vet yesterday, hopped her up on meds. Oh, I told you about that. She's still in really good shape. She just needs like a bunch of arthritis meds.
Arthritis.
We went for a long walk today. First time in a while we
Good.
did that. She was like, yeah, feeling great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Luis here says, do you think it would have been better if they debuted or had big business closer to Double or Nothing so Mercedes doesn't have her awkward promos? I didn't really mention this. I thought her promo last night was better. I thought it was better than the one she had the week prior.
Was it because there were no like big crash zooms?
That helped.
That helped.
Yeah, it's a bummer that she can't debut and wrestle like pretty much immediately.
I know. I get it. Like they're trying to do the thing where they actually have stories for her set up before she wrestles.
Totally. And I think in terms of building intrigue for her and Willow's eventual match, I think they've been doing an all right job.
Yeah.
It's just it'd be cool if Mercedes was involved more than just having to do promos.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Give us a Can They Coexist tag match, for example.
Yeah. Right. Fatherhood says, did I miss the Going in Raw feature film update? So here's the thing, man. Bottom line is we got to do a short film. Not going to be feature length. Number 2, I have an idea. I need to put it in treatment form and give it to you.
Yeah.
But I think it's like the first thing that I've thought of that I'm like, okay, no, this could work. This could work.
Okay.
This could be fun.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I'll get that written up at some point. So we're getting there. I mean, it's going to be slow. It's a slow process.
It's a process.
Filmmaking, what do they say? It's a miracle that any movie gets made.
Yeah, sometimes it takes years for a movie to get made.
Right, exactly. Look at, for example, Eraserhead. It's like 10 years of filming.
Yeah.
I think it was like a long time they were actually filming that thing.
Well, and then Orson Welles, like some of his movies took forever to film.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because he'd have a little bit of funding, shoot stuff.
Like, it cost so much back then.
Yeah, filmmaking.
I mean, half this
expensive.
feature film was going to be just on iPhones. It's going to be like that Sugar Show on Apple TV.
The audio's not going to be very good either, so don't get your hopes up.
The audio's not going to be very good. We can't buy a lousy $60 shotgun mic.
No. Steve Klein here says, you guys going to check out TNA Rebellion. Is it this weekend?
I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter.
There's already a wrestling show this weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Not going to happen. No, I hope it's a good show and everything.
Yeah,
I hope it's good. But like, hey, look, man, no Scott D'Amore, no Steve here.
All right.
No, I don't know. I just don't have time. We don't cover it. So it's like, if something really cool happens from it, I'll check it out on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of talent in TNA that I really like, so I want them to succeed.
Yeah, me too. I want to see them. I want to see them go to WWE or something. Here we go. Heather says Moose and Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Title. Are they just going to hotshot Nick Nemeth getting that TNA title?
No, I don't think so.
You think Moose is going to get that dub?
I would think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out whenever it happens, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe this weekend. Timor here says, if you were to make subtle pot shot comments at each other in separate interviews, what would you say that would get the other's attention?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it'd be about, you not picking up after your dog. That's what it'd be.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. I don't know. I'm too old to be rude to you. It's like he's grumpy half the time, and I got to deal with that shit.
That wouldn't bother me though. I mean, I'm well aware of that fact.
Yeah, exactly. And vice versa, you can take pot shots at me not picking up. I did it again today, by the way, But nobody's going to be walking in that area, so it doesn't really
You were walking there.
No, but so there's the path, and there's like a big patch of grass next to it that's not a natural walkway. So and I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy that she's, I saw a fresh turd in the backyard and I'm like, aren't you good? Like, I don't. But then she goes off to the side and she does that. The only thing that bothers me about it is that it's like near people, or it's like near, like, there's houses on the other side and people could be watching and being like, hey, why are you doing that? And then I'll just be like, get back in your house, old lady. But I don't do that. I'm not that kind of person. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick it up. And then I'd act like I'm picking up. I really don't.
Pick it up rather than actually doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Subterfuge and whatnot.
Well, I guess if
I don't like dealing with people. That's the thing,
I know.
So somebody asked me that again, I'll pick it up.
Oh wow, they really have to deal with them after you throw the bag of poop in their direction.
I don't know if they'd want to deal with me at that point. Oh, bag? No, I pick it up. It's my hand.
Oh, bare hand.
What the hell is this? My dad just texted me.
What the?
From the other side, what's going on? My mom has his phone.
Oh, okay.
And she's been talking about she's gonna be done with it. She's gonna turn it in because she doesn't need the extra bill.
Yeah.
But she's like, hey, I gotta get a lot of his pictures off. And I was like, hey, look, do you have his Apple ID? She's like, I don't know. So I'm like, bring it over on Friday. We're gonna have dinner. But then I just get a fucking text from my dad. Oh, that was weird. Some sort of video here. What's going on? And there's like a knife in the foreground. What is this video?
Wow. Oh my goodness.
What is this? Oh, it's from when Bama was like 2 or 3, 3 years old, sitting at their dinner table. Oh, that's stinking cute. Oh, I like that. I'll look at that later. Yeah, that was weird.
Kind of unexpected, yeah. Sober Chad here with the super chat says, with the Coyotes relocating to Utah, I guess the Arizona Coyotes are going to Utah. What wrestlers in current promotions would benefit from a relocation to another promotion? Who needs to move elsewhere?
Oh, man. Everybody good in TNA needs to move to WWE. No, I'm joking.
Wow.
I don't know. Other promotions? Well, Will Ospreay's not moving to WWE anytime soon.
Nope.
I don't know.
You excited to see the Motor City Machine Guns arrive in AEW sometime soon?
Yeah, I am, because
they'll have a good feud with the Young Bucks for those titles pretty quick, you'd think.
Yeah, there's a lot of good matches there for them. And I feel like WWE, they really need, and I feel like they might start, but they need to do something with their tag division. Everybody seems to be at a mid-level in their tag division,
Yeah.
And too many people in the women's division seems to be at a mid-level in in WWE. They need to really start, hopefully after the draft they'll really kick some of that going,
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's see here. What is this? Finbar says, can I get a quick plug for my buddy Aaron's Laying the Smackdown wrestling channel? All right, we'll check out Laying the Smackdown. Yeah, Maggie says, you said you wanted to be haunted. There you go. Your dad's laughing in heaven right now.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, no, I actually have a good story about being haunted for you. Anyways, that's going to do it, but that'll be on the Twitch post show.
There we go.
That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hilton is wrapping us up. He's in the wall. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.